Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, the previous video I explained to you how we shape our process in terms of our life in this world and in our holistic understanding of our existence in this world and our existence in the hereafter. I would like to quote Hujjatul Islam Al-Imam Al-Ghazali in his book Ihya Ulumuddin on this nature of thoughts, because it's very important for us to go to these great scholars and see what are their views and how they have explained this thing. So Al-Imam Ghazali says in book 2 of the book of constructive virtues, part 2, thought is the basis of action. Thoughts begets knowledge. Knowledge begets condition of the mind or move the mind, and the mind moves the bodily organ to do an action. So good thoughts is the key to good action. This is better than zikr, and zikr is better than teaching, as good thoughts amount to zikr. Zikr of the mind is better than the works of the bodily limbs. So good thoughts is better than all works. For this a saintly person said that good thoughts for an hour is better than divine service for a year. So that is basically some idea in which Al-Imam Ghazali explained to us about the nature of inner speech. That as we mentioned now, we have these automatic thoughts that Allah has given us and we cannot run away from it. It is part and parcel of our al-akal, al-juzi, and we are getting the input from the various realm, whether the realm of the angelic realm or the satanic realm. But unfortunately in the modern world, because of the toxic civilizational approach based on greed, based on desire, based on just worldly things, we get 90% negative inner speech and thoughts which affect our Nafsul Ammara. So this Ammara, purely evil self, the Nafs, become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it actually take control of ourselves, it take control of our society, it take control of this civilization. And when that's happened on a massive scale, then we are doomed for self-destruction. As simple as that. But maybe if we explain it that way, people will say, oh, this is not the way to go, it is not positive. We can be positive, because how are we going to do that? As Al-Imam Ghazali says, we have to have these good thoughts in our mind. So all the time when we are impinged with a good thought, we shape our nafs towards what is good and lawful. That means from the nafs al-mara, pure evil, we try to avoid, for example, if there is the antidote, if we have, for example, the desire, greed, then we have to learn how to control that greed, because there is a limit to everything. If our greed is left unattended, where we will just grow and just have passion and doing things in an extreme manner, then it is actually self-destructive. We have to find the middle path. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran tells us about having this balance, where we should not be overwhelmed by the so-called illusion of this dunya, where Allah tells us in the Quran, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Zuyina linnasi hubbu shahwati minan nisa'i wal banina wal qanatiril mukantarati minadh dhahabi wal fiddati wal hayli musawwamati wal an'ami wal harath dhalika mata'ul hayatid dunya. So these are the things of the dunya that we aspire. We want a beautiful woman or sex or having children. We want to have silver and gold. We want to have branded horses. We want to have tilted land. These are the things of the dunya. So that is halal. We are not saying that is haram. Allah didn't tell that is not an aspiration that you should aspire. Yes, you can aspire. For example, like if we are male and we are female, they are female. So there is this need for our sexual desire. So in Islam we have marriage. Then we have families. So it is perfectly acceptable. But if you go beyond that, then it becomes amara. The same thing. We can have, sufficient fund for us to live a good life if we say in terms of our field, or in terms of our wealth, in terms of gold or silver, or even to have a branded horse. In the good old days, they don't have sports car or Ferrari or Lamborghini or what, but they have this black stallions and so on. Yes, some of the Sahabis have these black stallions, perfectly acceptable in Islam, and Rasulullah didn't grudge that they have such beautiful horses. We can have those things, but we should not go to the extent that it becomes greed. So what is important is for us to find that balance. So that's why from this negative self-thought we can have all those that are bringing us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that our destination is not this dunya. That's why Imam Ghazali says, once you realize this reflection, this muhasabah that we talk about, you will be able to understand that the physical realm that we talk about, because our automatic thoughts, everything that is within us comes from our S-E-M-P. I have mentioned to you that our self, all right, whether it is Ammara, Lawama or Mutmainna, our self actually is within the realm of S, E, M and P. So within this realm, we live in the spiritual, emotional, mental and physical realm. Our SEM is the spiritual aspect, the latifa that Allah has given, the subtle energy. Imam Ghazali mentioned that this our spiritual, emotional and mental self, our roh, our qalb and our akal are the subtle forces that Allah tells us, where Allah tells us He blew into us our roh, a spirit from Him. What is it? The nature of it is not given to us. That knowledge is not given to us. We only know the fulfillment of that knowledge in the hereafter, but we know that we are transcendental beings. So the physical aspect is just one small aspect of our existence. But this one small aspect, if it is controlled by An-Nafs al-Mara, will destroy our spiritual, emotional and mental realm, and we become losers in the world of the hereafter. So that's why in Islam, we must move up to lawamah, constantly have self-correction. All right, and then slowly moved up towards mutmainnah for us to have peace, happiness and success in this world and the hereafter. And remember the nasihah that I read from Ihya Ulumuddin, Hajjatul Islam, Al-Imam Ghazali, that these thoughts, if you carry it through in a proper manner in terms of our remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it would be better than zikr, and it is better than just divine service for a year. This is the saying of the saintly person. I'm not saying this is a hadith, but this is how the great scholars have framed how we are to move ourselves from the negativity of this world, from the greed of this world, from the evil of this world, to a balanced way, and finally to peace, happiness and success. So inshallah, if we can understand that, we would be able to have a better idea of how to frame our life. Because remember, I have mentioned to you that the P of this life, the P aspect that we have mentioned in terms of, say for example, if physical fulfillment in terms of what? Food, clothing, shelter, sex. All right? If we carry this to the extreme, for example, I was telling you the toxic lifestyle of this modern, we are going to the extreme. That means we have natural, wholesome food that Allah has given us, vegetables, fruits, grains, and domesticated animals, and so on. We have those food, but we go into junk food, we go into sugary food, we go into fast food, we go into processed food, we go into chemical-laden food, and so on. So it is self-destructive. Out of what? The greed of the industrial revolution in terms of the food industry. So the great, big multinationals that is reaping off billions and billions and billions out of the ordinary common people are actually destroying them in the physical realm. Because of what? This amara of the conglomerate, the multinational companies. I cannot name them because I name them, they will sue me, but you know who they are. They are the major players, giving you junk food, giving you fast food, giving you all the chemical-laden food, giving you all the imbalanced, toxic food that will actually destroy you physically. Not to say destroy you in terms of your mind, your akal, in terms of your emotion, in terms of your spiritual existence. So we have to go back and find a middle ground. All right? So this is where I hope, when we know about the physical, and I've explained to you how this mental process takes place also in the previous video, even though I separate it, but your SEMP is all one entity. This is an entity that Allah has given you as long as you live in this dunya. This is your nafs as you exist on this earth. And how you mold, shape and balance this nafs so that you would lead a happy, healthy, wonderful life. And then leave this world, gently leave this world. And then go to the realm of the hereafter, beyond space, beyond time, receiving the grace, the mercy, the love of Allah, while you enjoy this life of this world. So that's why we Muslims must move away from this concept that, oh, we Muslims here must suffer, must have difficulties. Yes, there will be challenges, there will be suffering everywhere. But if you can turn your suffering into sabar, patience, your action from evil thoughts towards ikhlas, then inshallah, you would then breed a goodness that Allah endowed upon you. All of us, we are entitled to that, to be His sincere servant as a Khalifa of Allah on this earth. Because Allah wants us to have the joy of this world, the joy of realizing the goodness that Allah has given us, the beauty of this universe, the acknowledgement of who He is, and our connection with Him, and our submission to Him, receiving all the goodness that will bring us closer and closer to Allah and bring us peace, happiness and success for all of us, inshallah.